For everyone that is watching live on the stream, someone told me I should show the QR code for the Discord channel, so just join there if you want to chat along while we stream this event. All right, welcome everyone. This is the second session for today. This is more regarding the Security Copilot, so a bit more AI. I hope you will like it. A couple of very awesome news around AI and autopilot and copilot stuff in security. I actually had to delete a lot of slides yesterday because these are still private preview and will be announced at Ignite. But I hope that I will still fill up the 50 minutes or so. If not, you are free to ask questions. Well, yes, AI is everywhere, and as Henning also has mentioned, Microsoft loves to mention AI everywhere. AI isn't that bad if you use it the right way, to be honest. When I was at Ignite last year, a lot of times Copilot was mentioned, but that was basically regarding the M365 Copilot, which I don't like and don't use. But I like the Security Copilot. Has any one of you has used Security Copilot yet? Oh, that's a lot of people. Follow-up question. Did you pay for it yourself or was it sponsored? Okay, half-half. But most of you have it sponsored. So the reason why I ask is basically you need security compute units, the SCUs. A lot of confusion there around how it is built and the pricing model there. There's actually a very nice YouTube video and an AMA about it by Microsoft to demystify it. And it's very, very, very good in explaining the provisioning and the overage model for pricing models of the SCUs. And obviously, depending on your size of your environment and your use cases, it might make sense, and sometimes it doesn't make sense. It really depends on you and your company. Thanks to also all the sponsors that make this event happen. A couple of words to me. My name is Ugur. I'm a product manager at glueckkanja. I'm an Intune and Security Copilot MVP, and these are my social media profiles if you want to reach out after the event. So when I started to prepare for today's session, I wanted to also give you a bit more history about myself, why I even started with KQL. I think it's a bit more important to understand my own way. How do I get to Security Copilot? So when I started with KQL, it was 4 or 5 years ago, I think. Pretty old, to be honest. So when I started it with the data that is available in Intune. So I was an Intune admin. I saw a lot of logs in Intune. I pushed them out to Log Analytics Workspace, and then they were sitting there, right? So I was like, okay, what do I do with the data there? So I found a LinkedIn post, I think it was from Rod Trent, about his must-learn KQL, and I started to really invest more time into KQL in general to understand my data. So writing my first queries myself to understand the data, and then to be able to explain the data, which is also very important to talk with your peers and your team leads, what does the data really mean? And obviously at the very end, and which I still like until today, is to visualize data. It's very easy to use Azure Workbooks with your KQL queries. There's also other ways to do it, obviously, but I really like that way to create these Azure Workbooks. So the way, as I mentioned, when I started with KQL was with mainly a must-learn KQL, and I think Rod Trent had a certificate program then, and maybe it's still there today, I don't know. But that was also the first, and I think the only Microsoft-related certificate that I ever made, to be honest. But it was very fun, and I learned a lot. And also here's a repository from Brad Jan. He was not the only one where I learned stuff from, how to create very complex and also easy queries. But there were a lot of other people in the community sharing queries as well. So what this ended with is the KQL search website. Did someone of you use the KQL search website yet? Awesome, very cool. Thanks for using it. So it this was my solution to create a better way to get to see queries, because I saw queries everywhere on LinkedIn, Twitter, on GitHub, and like you forget stuff, you don't know where it was the last time you looked for it, and this is basically now a database with about 3,120 queries, which is huge, and I think it's the biggest database out there yet. About or more than 40 authors until today. And more to come, to be honest, because I get requests every week for new repositories to add more queries and so on and so forth. And obviously, that's not the only community resource. A lot of very great speakers are here today. All of them have created community resources in some kind of way. So today's session, as I said, is more related to Endpoint. I'm a Intune guy, so it will be a bit more about Intune today. Obviously, I love Security Copilot. The more I started to work with it, I found like more fun with it, to be honest. But that's partly because I have sponsored SCUs and I don't pay for them myself. So it's easy to play around with them, right? So I will also show you a sneak peek of a couple of agents. I had to remove a couple of agents because they are still a private preview, but I will show you some agents that I have created specifically for Intune, Entra, Defender, and Purview. Obviously, lots of demos. I will set down later on here. And if you have questions, by the way, just ask them right away. You don't have to wait until the very end. So one of the biggest challenges that I see when I talk with customers, and I obviously started the same way, is the KQL expertise in companies and your teams is very diverse and very limited. Some people are very good at writing queries. Writing queries is also really hard because you have use cases where it's very easy to create a query, just 2 or 3 lines, but then you have very complex queries where you join over different tables, right? I still have problems to join tables, to be honest, but that's another story. So I really liked people sharing these queries for me. One thing that I also have a huge problem with is the data that's being stored in Intune, Defender, and Entra ID. That's still a very huge issue. And I still don't understand until today why these product groups aren't talking with each other at Microsoft. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, there's a lot of silos there in data, and it's very hard to understand. If you have, for example, a compliance report in Intune, or applications that have an older version, you need to patch them right away. You will definitely see different data available in Defender, Intune, and Entra ID for these scenarios. Obviously, you have to correlate them manually, complex query, yada, yada, yada. So for today, I actually had to create, I have a very similar session for Ignite. And someone from Microsoft told me I should tell you one thing. Security Copilot isn't there to replace anyone. It's there to support you. So it really depends. I would say let's see where we are in 1 year, depending on also your skill level, obviously. But yes, it's true, Security Copilot can definitely help you in a lot of cases. So we'll demo a couple of things in the Security Copilot in Intune, which is the embedded version. The natural language to KQL, which is a very interesting thing to talk about. The natural language to API, Security Copilot standalone in the Security Copilot portal, and then finish up with the Security Copilot agents. But now, I didn't mention you guys why I even talk about Security Copilot in a Kusto conference, right? Everything is Kusto, and you will see very soon, if you unmask the Security Copilot AIs, what's really behind that. Before I start in more details, this is the official overview of how Microsoft Security Copilot works. I think the most important thing to understand here is Microsoft Security Copilot is like a middleman. You chat with it, but it has access to all the products and plugins by Microsoft. So on the bottom left, you will see Defender XDR, Intune, Threat Intelligence, also Sentinel, and others. Yes, you can also use Purview, Entra ID, and a very lot of other plugins as well. You can create your own plugins if you want to. If you have your own IPs and you want also ingest this knowledge or database into Security Copilot, you can plug it in with a tool or plugin. So it's very handy, very easy to use. Obviously, behind all that data is a context, and that context will be transferred to an LLM model, which is in that case ChatGPT 4.5. And then it will be worked on, and then you will get a response. Right? That's the very easy way to understand that or explain that. So the more I worked with Security Copilot, so I'm a Intune and KQL guy, to be honest. So when I worked with Security Copilot, you really understand what's really behind that mask. It's KQL. It's very easy to also, I will show you that in a moment. Everything that's related to work with your data in your environments is mostly related to KQL. And Security Copilot is no different in that way. Yes, a lot of text on this slide, but I think the most important things to understand here is the Security Copilot Intune has a lot of different ways to use Security Copilot. I think Microsoft themselves are a bit confused how to use Security Copilot Intune. At least I am very confused on how they did it. So there are multiple ways. One of the most important thing is device query. Is anyone here that knows what device query is? A couple of people, awesome. So device query is basically one thing that they created to be able to, you run KQL queries, you create your KQL queries, and it will then go out and get the device data in real time. It's not real time, it's near real time. It depends on if your device is available at that moment, depends on the payload that's being sent back, and so on and so forth. The KQL that you can create in device query can be created by Copilot with natural language. I will show you that in a second. Obviously, you can do a lot of more stuff with Copilot in Intune, policy analysis, device comparisons. One agent that Intune themselves have released yet is the vulnerability remediation agent, which is a great way to show you vulnerabilities regarding your applications, for example. It will get the application data, see the versions, and then will tell you, hey, here's an update available, and a CVE is available. So yeah, let me show you how Security Copilot Intune looks like. And then I think you will better understand my confusion around it. Okay, so I honestly, when I sat here to prepare my notebook and my browser, it didn't work. I was like, do they have an outage again? Luckily not, so I'm kind of prepared. So this is my lab environment, obviously sponsored SDUs. So there are multiple ways, as I explained, to use Copilot in Intune. So first things first, I want to show you the native way, the button, Copilot button here, if it loads. And I really like to understand the backend stuff. So let me show you the network tab. Parallel. Hope it loads. I will refresh, right? Let's see. Awesome, it works. Great. Yeah, now I can ask it questions. So normally, if you talk about natural language, you expect to type in whatever you want. Nope, you can't type in whatever you want. Most of it is, well, you can type in whatever you want, but it will then tell you and explain you, hey, there's a different feature in Intune that can do it better. So let's summarize a Intune device. It's very hard to click around here. Let me grab the device. I actually was prepared, but I had to reopen the browser. Things were not working. Device. On mouse device. And I will just grab one. And you also see the very annoying Copilot symbol there, which is very much not in line, and it's very annoying. Yeah. So yeah, I'm just going to let it summarize a device. It will ask for a device name or a device ID. Tell it to summarize. Oh, and now I forgot to refresh this. Let me see if this is the... This should be the preview. Awesome. Yeah, there it is. Where is it? All right, well, I can't find it right now, I think. So basically what I wanted to show you with this one is, there it is, perfect. Skills. Anyone of you that use the Security Copilot know what skills are? So, all right, so skills is, I think, very easy to understand. So to make it easier to use Copilot, Microsoft has a couple of predefined skills. So these skills could be GPT skills, so just LLM models behind that. Those could be API skills, just calling an external API. But it also could be a KQL skill. In this case, it's a predefined API skill called Get Intune Devices. And it really just calls the Get Intune Devices endpoint, manage devices, and then device ID. And that's it. And then it just sends over the context of that device to an LLM model. It will then throw it back, right? But that's annoying, and that's like, you could also do this with Graph API itself. You don't have to pay the SCUs for that. But let me show you one more thing. Oh my God, the mouse. Let me show you the Explorer, which is way more exciting. The Explorer, I double-checked yesterday, it's not private preview, so I can show it to you, is another way to query over your data in Intune. One thing that I like to do is check for compliance. So let's look in the predefined compliance. Get devices that are non-compliant due to not having a compliance policy. Yeah, let's do that. Then read all the requests. So now something changed here on the right side in the network tab. It's this one, the initiate query. So what I did there, and what I still find very amusing, is it's also regarding the natural language to KQL model that I will explain later on in the session. You can only search with predefined prompts. So there's a prompt book, only predefined prompts, because behind every prompt there's a KQL query. It's very easy. Like, obviously, still you don't need Security Copilot to do it. You can, like, there's other ways. There's also, just let me link it to you, just to mention the session. I made the work of having device queries listed out somewhere. Yeah, there it is. I think about 100 device queries. It's exactly the same thing. I hope they didn't copy the KQL queries and use it for Security Copilot. I think they partly did, to be honest. So yeah, but they didn't mention anyone there. So yeah. All right. So what really did happen here is it initiated a query. Again, it ran a KQL query against their own database that we can't reach with APIs. So they will query the data and then give the response here at the bottom, right? I don't care about the response. It's just a lab environment. So it doesn't matter. I think that was a couple of the demos I wanted to show. See? So does someone of you remember this one? I think it's very old. Yeah. Yeah. I think it's kind of old. This was when I first really came across automation. I had a very old Android smartphone where I tried it out, a couple of playbooks basically to automate stuff. Why is this interesting? Because there's a paper by Microsoft that has been published in 2017, and it's regarding natural language to API. Natural language to API, something that I also just showed you guys is you prompt your way with a natural language. You ask for something, then something magically happens, and then it will give you the call the API, and then give you the response out of the API, right? I showed you the demo here. So what the API, natural language to API really does is if you ask to summarize this device, it will call the skill get Intune devices, which is an API skill. It will call this graph endpoint, send this context to GPT 4.1, and then show the output in the UI. So nothing really magically, it's all graph API, as most of you guys know already. But that's very easy to understand. The natural language to KQL stuff is a bit harder to understand, at least for me. The issue that the people at Microsoft Research really had is, that's why I showed the if stuff, is they weren't really, so they liked the idea to automate your workflows, but they weren't happy with how they did it. You can read the research paper, it's very interesting, having that in 2017, is they wanted to have a very easy way to give the model behind this framework more context, to learn it, to give it more opportunity to learn on more stuff, to give you more and better accurate response. So if you ask a natural language question, you want it to be reliably giving you the KQL query in the output. So this is one of the images shown in that paper. And I wanted to highlight these things here is when I talked with the product group, this one's one of the most interesting thing is so not every prompt that you give it, it won't go and search for a KQL query that it could provide you with. It will always check first for similarity. So if there's already a KQL in their database that the agent, that the model has been trained on, it will then give you the KQL query output. So there are only X amount of KQL queries. So why Security Copilot agents? What does it do with KQL? When we started creating Security Copilot agents for ourselves and customers, we use these agents in our managed services and as well as for our customers. Every agent's input is mostly KQL. We use it mainly for advanced hunting, for example. And this is a screenshot from an actual forensic agent that we have. And I will also showcase it in the next slide, actually. An agent is nothing more than a manifest JSON file, YAML file, sorry. And inside there, you can create your own skills, right? We saw the get Intune device skills. In this case, it's a incident advanced hunting skill that we created our own. It's a third-party skill, basically. And inside there, you can define a KQL query. And every time you trigger that agent with whatever it should do, in the description, it says, for example, it should run an advanced query based on an incident idea, right? And it will do it with that KQL query. So you give the agent basically a guardrail to really follow up and give you quality response. So what it really looks like in the real world is, let's run the agent. Oh, looking at the wrong monitor. So here's the agent. So this is the Security Copilot portal, by the way. So if you guys didn't see it yet, it's not that crazy and interesting, to be honest, but there's an agent overview, and we have an agent. In that case, it's the forensic agent. If I want to run it, I can trigger it automatically. So if you, let's say you want to create automatically a report every time you have an incident, you wanted to create a report, you can do it automatically, or if I want to showcase it right now, I can give it a specific incident ID. And I think 132 should be a real incident ID, hopefully. So let's see what it does. There it is. So a bit more insight about this overview here. A lot of things got better. It was way more worse in the user and developer experience in the portal. I see some guys laughing already. Yeah, it was crazy. But there's a lot of progress made here. So if we look into the session itself, you see that it starts to call the so-called tools. Every tool has a skill. And there is this incident advanced hunting. This is not very well displayed, to be honest, but this is the KQL query. I can't understand what's inside here. I would have to look into it. Crazy, it's scrolling automatically, nice. And I can't really look inside what it really did. But what it really did is it took our parameter, the incident ID, entered it into the KQL query that you just seen, and then just run it in your environment. That's basically all. Yeah, and it will run a couple of seconds and hopefully give you a finished up report for your security team. Funny enough, there's a Security Copilot in Defender, an embedded experience. We and a lot of customers found this one way more efficient in creating reports. The built-in stuff isn't that really great, to be honest. Yeah, this will take a couple of seconds. Are there questions yet from you guys while this finishes? Did I confuse you? How much money does that one cost? Yeah. I can tell you actually. It's finished, right? So this is the report, and what's really nice is, and I think that's one of the best things about agents is, it took all the context. So if you give it a natural language to API skill, pair it with your natural language to KQL skill. If you have KQL ready in your environment, most of us have KQLs in our database. Use it, and then you just put it all together. The ChatGPT 4.1 model will just get the context and give you a finished up report. I think it's very handy. And if you are interested into trying out these agents, again, this agent is, for example, free, but I can't really say it's free because you need SCUs. So it's kind of free. But in the official security store by Microsoft, there are a lot of partners out there that have these agents available. I can't read it. Security store. So there are partner agents, obviously, and there's also agents for admins, just for reference, because when it's boring, I start building agents. So there are a couple of agents here for different services. I don't know if you guys want to try it out or not. These are open source available. You can look into GitHub and check out the manifest files as well. Most of them have KQL queries inside. So I think the Intune one will have at least one KQL query, but I'm not sure of. Yeah, this is how the agent basically looks like. That's the agent. That's not that complicated. From outside, it looks like a bit of magic. It did for me, but it's not really that magical if you have a better understanding how it works. Yeah, that's the security store, the agents, everything is there. I think there are about 30 agents or so for different services in Microsoft environments. Very handy. We use it a lot when we can pay for it. All right, so let me see. Let's see what's left because I had to delete a lot of slides yesterday. So this was a demo. All right, yeah, this was a security store. Me and the team at glueckkanja had built about 10 agents, which are out there, all free. Open source agents as well. You can have a look into the GitHub repository and have a better understanding how this works. And then I think that's it because I had to remove a lot of slides. Thank you, guys. Questions? Yes. Yes. Basically, it's the same, but more fancy. Yeah, that's perfectly worded. Yeah, yeah. I mean, you could for the most use case, you could just use logic apps, Power Automate, Graph, API calls. That's it. Yes, you could do that. Is this recording right now? It's live, right? Yeah. That's a tricky question, right? Yeah. One more question? Yes. Yes, there are multiple ways to optimize it. So we had a lot of problems with the same use case because we also have a couple of bigger incidents sometimes with a lot of entities in the timeline. We switched. So we started using API calls for most of the things because it was easier. We like API calls, but then we switched over to KQL queries because it was more fine-grained using advanced hunting KQL queries, and it was a better performance. Doesn't take too long the runtime, and it was generally faster and more reliable. So changing from natural language to API to natural language to KQL was then the solution for us. And there's a second way to do it is, I think it's called auto-tune in Security Copilot. So if you're in the portal, you can use that to automatically fine-tune your prompting, basically, your agent, and it will then help you with better performance, hopefully. But in most cases, try it out and then switch to KQL queries. It's way more easier. Yeah. Jay. Is that the next tricky question? So yeah, the question was, I guess what I understand is, you're talking about the identity behind that agent that runs it? Yeah, you did try the Security Copilot agents out, right? It's a tricky question, I know. So that was one of the slides that I had to delete yesterday. But I will give a glimpse of how it works currently and how it should work normally. Sorry. So if you set up a agent, some of it is still prior preview, so don't mind me. So you see the identity that is being used, right? So the cloud admin. So this is everything that the agent does runs in the context of that identity that has deployed or provisioned that agent in your environment. So what that really means is that identity has to have the roles and permissions to access those resources, right? You don't want that. Like if you deploy it and my colleagues shouldn't have a way to query certain data because they're sensitive data, right? You want to really use least privilege. That's not possible right now, but it should be possible in a couple of weeks. Hopefully, yes. Next. Don't follow up this question. We don't. It's live. Don't do it. Don't do it. I'm sweating. Yeah.
Maybe one we can talk about. Do you know how it connects?
So yeah, there are different things. So the question was, how does it connect to query the data, right? So there are two things. The Security Copilot Intune, which most of you don't care, but I still want to explain it because I think it's important to understand the differences there. If you use the Security Copilot Intune, it will access tables that no one else have access to. So it's just something that lives in the backend in a Azure Cosmos DB, and it will query it based on that data there. You don't know what's inside there. You don't have access to it. Just Security Copilot has. There are tricks around it, obviously, but I don't want to give you any ideas. And these skills that you build, that you add inside the agents, call APIs to query this data, right? That's it. They are running in limits, yes. In larger environments, yes. We had one very, very large environment where all users were queried by API, and it was, yeah, somebody called us from Microsoft, it was not so, yeah. Yeah, it was an adventure creating these agents. Any more questions? And not so hard questions, please.
Can you attach these to local MCP models? Probably is unnecessary.
I didn't get the question.
So the security copilot.
Yes.
With an
Yeah.
it's using K-12.
I actually don't know, to be honest. I haven't had to look into the MCP stuff. I know there's a data lake MCP available and so on. I haven't had a look at it so far. Yeah, I have to focus on Ignite, and so I lost a lot of traction there on a lot of topics, sadly. Any more questions? All right. Before anyone asks any harder questions, thank you, guys.